Hey, they're certainly worth having a look at. You never know what amazing treasure could be inside there. Well, the countdown in the race room is done, so we are officially underway once we get caught up. And we've got a Cyan and Mog start here. Cyan, one of the more powerful characters in the randomizer, as always. And Mog has one very easy check with a handful of treasure boxes. Wouldn't be too surprised to see some of our racers land right in front of Narsh and go treasure hunting with Mog.
It looks like that's what 3 of our 4 are doing, whereas Boo is taking the alternate route and going to South Figaro first, which is definitely... he's actually going to Albrecht first.
Yeah, Boo heading to Albrook. As you mentioned, he's a player that really likes to, like Edgeworth, he likes to go shopping early on. Albrook, one of the nicer towns for that. 5 easy to get treasure chests and one of each type of shop.
And we're going to have our quick look at the shed. We see Lone Wolf on Flurry's side. We have a Thunder Shield right away. Very nice. Thunder Shield and a Tempest, so not an awful house, but not one of the better ones.
Well, Thunder Shield could at least be a crutch item to get past an early boss if you want to break it. Or, depending on bosses you run into, you might have absolutely nothing to fear from them with that shield equipped.
So what he means by breaking the shield, for those who are new to this randomizer, you can actually use that Thunder Shield as a one-time use item to cast Bolt 3 on an enemy. So if you get an enemy that's squishy, bounce a shield off their head, they're probably going to go down. And we do have Flurry going up the long trek of Narsh. We'll see who is at Kefka at Narsh as well. So kind of getting the eyeball of that is while you're going to the Lone Wolf check. Question is, do you tackle Kefka at Narsh at this point without having too much under your belt?
Well, Boo very quickly in and out of Albrook. Picked up a few things, but nothing too outrageous there from what I saw.
And we have a Sabin up at Lone Wolf.
Sabin's another fun character of the randomizer for sure. I've definitely seen some racers get through seeds entirely based on Sabin's prowess before.
We have Gunji gloves for sale. Some people might be interested in those, especially if we get that early offering.
It could also depend on what weapons are available. Genji Glove offering is a power combo, but it depends on the weapon. Some weapons are much better without offering.
Very true.
Well, looks like we've got some pretty nice loot inside of South Figaro very quickly, just from the barrels. I've seen an elixir and an Aegis shield for Edge.
Knowing the way that Edge plays, that elixir is probably going straight to the shopkeeper for some easy money.
And usually not a bad decision. Get yourself a cash influx early and try to pick up some nice gear.
He may hold on to it until someone catches his eye, though. But yeah, there it goes. It's gone.
It's gone. Not selling. Not selling some of the other items. Wing Edge is a peculiar keep there. It's an interesting weapon, but it's not one of the better ones. Even though it seems to be Locke's usual high battle power weapon. But the thing about weapons in this game is that battle power doesn't mean as much as additional effects on the weapon itself.
One other thing to note that we found here in South Figaro for Edge, which is probably why I was catching stuff out, is we found some ice rods.
Yeah, rods are definitely useful to get some disposable damage in early on until you really find the offense for your team. In this particular seed, though, I don't think offense is going to be too much of a problem with a Cyan start, assuming all of our runners go through the Dream and power him up. Nice set of Genji armor for Boo in the South Figaro basement. Definitely one of the higher end pieces of armor.
It looks like Flurry is taking his stab and going straight to the Falling House in Zen. Try to check out what that aspect price is here.
I like this play from Fleury quite a bit. Already picked up Sabin, and this is a free check. No mandatory combat. Get to have a look around, pick up some more treasure. Checks the Esper guy in the woods there, or possibly Esper guy, I should say. It's only 20k, so if he's willing to sell some of the disposable items and not so great weapons he's picked up, could definitely get that check out of the way while he's here in Tizen as well.
Now, with what's on the line, would you take the time to check World of Balance Zen, or would you just buy announcing Zen? That's not that bad of a price.
With what's on the line and it being a mere 20k when it could be much higher, I think I'm just going to sell an elixir or two and pick that thing up right now.
I 100% agree with you.
More good news for Fleury there, even though I didn't mention this right away. He did find a wall ring inside a chest. Wall ring, a very useful accessory in the randomizer when you never know what boss you're going to run into. Gives you just a little bit of breathing room if you run into a really nasty magical-oriented boss. And we've had Zeno and now Edgeworth going to loot the Returner's hideout. A lot of free treasure chests here, so a lot of item gathering early on for some of our racers here. I would say Fleury probably being the most adventurous in trying to get checks done so far. The rest of our runners perhaps not too satisfied with their level of power because, let's face it, outside of a couple really nice shields, haven't seen anything too great equipment-wise.
We also had a pair of earrings in the Returner's base. That's nice if we get some magic casters, which we don't quite have yet. We kind of have an offense team at the moment.
Well, those earrings are not without purpose if anyone's going to pick up some nice dances for Mog or start throwing around some aura bolts and the like with Sabin. Really interesting weapon shop in Tizen for Fleury there. Got the cheap shurikens on sale if you find Shadow early and are really concerned about ammo. Snipers and man-eaters available, probably the two best store-bought weapons in the entire game. And the item shop has most of the useful consumables there. Only thing it's really missing would be some sleeping bags and echo screens, which are really just for the final battle.
Edge on his side also bought a bunch of consumables in the Returner's base shop. I did not catch who was in Umaro's house, but it was a character.
Yeah, someone came out to have a peek and say hello.
Didn't catch who it was. We'll see momentarily, though, because you'll see it on the back end also.
Exactly. Once Boo goes and picks up Sabin on the way down, we'll try to pay a little more attention and see who we've got hanging out there.
Looks like Edge is going to try to take a couple random battles and see if we can get a couple levels under his belt.
Never a bad idea depending on the enemies you find, but it's completely random. We've got some Zozo enemies here, so he'll be able to gain a level or two from the battle, but this is not an ideal grind spot. Their experience to level ratio is just not that great. Fleury, however, finding one of the primo grind enemies, the Landworm. Unfortunately, this early not having access to any obvious instant death, and the low hit points, as you saw, is going to cause an explosion there for his party. So no huge experience gain for Fleury, and probably this early on, even more sadly, no Mountain Dance for Mog.
Probably keep that in the back of your mind when you have Cleave in a little bit once they go through the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel you need some levels, Fleury definitely knows the place to go grind, grind, grind. Just inside of Mount Colts, looks like. We've got Boo trying out the battle for Narsh. We know it's not a character, but it could be an Esper, or it could be just a very good item. Or a Hail Rod. Much more reasonable encounter for Fleury this time on Colts there. It's not necessarily going to be quick with his starting setup here, but he should be able to defeat the Brain Pans. Their Smirk attack, definitely annoying, but this early on in the seed, enemy physicals are just going to tickle the characters. And here's good news for Boo. The boss at the end of Kefka and Narsh's Tunnel Armor, one of the big pushovers that you can run into. Boo with some fire rods in hand, not the weakness, but a couple of those are going to take tunnel armor out right away. So one boss down for Boo, maybe an Esper, maybe an item, but Boo's definitely going to power his characters up a little bit here.
I think that was our first actual boss check. And Edge on his way
Honestly,
up
another
to...
overrated or overlooked thing about tunnel armor is that you're guaranteed to get an elixir drop there. That can be quite valuable, both as the best consumable or if you need a quick 10,000 gold.
So, Jack, we're getting a word in chat that our Umaro is blocking Shadow today.
Well, I dare say Umaro's going to be a pretty popular character to find then. I would say Shadow is the second best party member in the randomizer. And especially with his cheaper throw options available, he's never going to run out of ammo, though in the randomizer you do tend to find a lot of junk weapons, so it's probably better to be throwing those around over the cheap but plentiful shurikens. But Boo was rewarded with the Ragnarok Esper. Zenobian inside the collapsing house is going to exit and pick up his Kieran Esper, which Flurry has already obtained. Flurry, meanwhile, looting the Returner's hideout as well, and Edgeworth is heading up to the top of Narsh, and he's going to pick up Sabin now.
Sabin's a nice character. All of his bosses tend to be boss checks for the most part, other than the Falling House. But they're all very quick, is what I've kind of noticed with him.
Absolutely right you are, Fowls. Sabin's only longer check is the Phantom Train, but Phantom Train is one of the checks that you can actually peek what the reward is going to be before you invest time into it. So if you don't like what you're going to get, you can just reload your save and go somewhere else.
We have our first Domed Castle, and we have a Go-Go.
Yeah, Go-Go, actually, I would say would be a very valuable character in this seed, because now you have two beefy sword tech users.
Go-Go is a jerk, I'll say that right now. He betrayed me last night.
I see.
We had our weekly Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide race last night, and I had Go-Go in my party, and he decided to get muddled and cleave my entire party.
That's not how you're successful at the Final Fantasy VI randomizer, Fowls. You should probably reevaluate your strategy.
Yes, don't give Go-Go cleave.
Well, speaking of Go-Go, the battle to obtain him is just Dataluma, so another pretty easy boss in the early going here.
No, Go-Go's check is an interesting one. Some people love it, some people hate it. What's your thought process on his?
Well, Go-Go's check isn't inherently bad. There's a certain amount of luck and timing involved in getting past one of the Chancellors on the bridge to get through to the end. And there's always that falling ceiling trap that seems to get the best runners at the worst of times. But it is technically a free check, and if you're a savvy player, you're going to put your party down to one character so that you can get devoured by that Zone Eater just a little bit faster. We've got Boo inside the Imperial camp. Zeno is about to engage Dataluma to recruit Go-Go. Flurry is still battling Dataluma, and Edgeworth has made mincemeat out of that tunnel armor to pick up Ragnarok. And having seen the spells on Ragnarok, there's actually a couple of winners there. X-Zone has its uses. There are definitely some enemies vulnerable to death, although X-Zone isn't the most accurate death move, and will be obsolete once Cyan gets Cleave. Mute can shut down one piece of the final battle, which is pretty handy. Boo now running into Master Pug in the next monster in a box. So Boo picked up one Minerva from the 3 pugs inside the training room and is now trying another monster in a box. This one's going to take a little longer, and the reward is only a Gradius, so not the greatest reward from monster in a box. What you really want to see is Katana Soul and get that offering.
always nice when you can get that early offering and pair with something like a Valiant Knife or something that can do a lot of damage. I know you're not a huge fan of fixed dice, but that's another early option.
Fixed dice have slow attack animation and are unreliable, but if you really don't have any other offensive options, they're not bad, they're just not great. Boo running into some of the stronger mag rotors here. Probably going to make pretty quick work of them here if Mog gets his proper dance off. And down they go. So we'll see what the reward is there. Zeno officially recruits Gogo. Flurry still battling Dataluma, having a bit of a slower fight here. Magicite Phantom for Boo from the Imperial Camp.
And he is not going to let us see what's on it. Oh, there he goes.
Well,
yeah, we got Merton.
Merton might be in play if you find enough fire nulling absorbing equipment or just a whole bunch of Minervas. He's got one already.
And we have seen a Thunder Shield and we have seen a Red Jacket.
Yeah, Thunder Shield would work as well for the wind immunity. So yeah, Merton might be in play. That could be very interesting. It's not too often you see people go for Merton strat, so it'd be fun to see if that pans out here. And Boo's just going to head south and check out what's on the train here.
I know Edge is a big fan of the Merton strats.
Have to see if he goes for them. He's already picked up his Esper. He's just kind of fishing around for a couple more treasures here in the Imperial Camp. Safety bit might potentially be useful. Instant death attacks usually aren't something you worry about in the randomizer too much because the one guaranteed gauntlet of bosses that you have to go through, the final boss, doesn't really use a whole lot of instant death moves. Dataluma finally down for Flurry, so Gogo is now officially recruited. And Boo inside the train has, I didn't see the character that he picked up. There it is, it was Locke. So that's 5 characters for Boo now, and he's able to slap that Gradius right on Locke. So Locke going to be doing some decent damage with his fight command. Be better to get better weapons for him, but it's a good start.
So we're 17 minutes in. With Locke, you can get that Paladin Shield, which Curse Shield. What number would that have to be for you to do that at this point?
It's not particularly late in the seed. I would say anything 12 and under is worth investing in. Beyond that, it gets a little dicey. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, the Battle Royale, we need 12 Espers and 8 characters. So I would probably up that to about 15 battles. Like, if you just want it for its defensive purposes in the final battles, you could probably get away with 20 and some menu micromanagement. But the main allure of the Paladin Shield, if you can unlock it quickly, is that you can learn Ultima off of that shield, which is one of the premium damage dealing options in the randomizer.
Comes with a bit of a time sink, but it's definitely nice to have.
It's only a time sink if you have to go out of your way and fight additional battles for it. If you can do it on the way as you're doing your checks, it's just a nice little bonus you get after a little while.
Oh, I meant the spell animation, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, the spell animation is... Well, for the amount of damage it does, it's one of those trade-offs that I think is worthwhile in terms of battle animation. Because it's faster than Flare and does about 8 times as much damage. So, I think that's reasonable.
And it's non-elemental, so you won't be blocking it. And we have another Minerva for Boo.
Trying to find a wearer for it, but not having much luck there. Boo electing to check even more monster in the box. We get Katana Soul, so that's a guaranteed offering if he can take him out. Katana Soul can be pretty scary for an underleveled party here. If he's able to maybe proc a Death Dance off Mog, that'd take him out though.
Gotta go quick. Katana Soul can do a lot of damage very quickly.
Absolutely, you saw how much damage that water skiing did to Boo's party, and now here comes a Bolt Edge. Cyan survives, and Mog wearing that Thunder Shield, so Boo is going to break his last rod and hope that this is going to net him an offering.
Would you trade a Thunder Shield for an offering at this point?
Absolutely. If you're going to commit to going through monsters in a box, I think it's the right play to just go right for it and do that. We've got Narappa at Barren Falls, so this is pretty much a freebie here. Not a particularly difficult boss, and Edgeworth prepared with a wall ring to bounce spells off it to hit Narappa, so very nice there. Flurry right behind him is going to be battling Narappa as well. Zeno also on the train, going to have a look at these chests. Is he going to check the monster in a box? No, doesn't look like it, but he's going to pick up that Minerva. Sadly, none of the characters that we've currently recruited can use it, but it will be nice for someone eventually. Minerva probably the best single armor in the entire game, I would say.
Makes you mostly immune to most magical attacks. There's a few that'll still get through, but not many.
Yeah, it offers complete immunity to the big 3 plus wind and half damage from every other element. Has nice stats. I believe it has 20 evade and magic evade, and also boosts your maximum MP because why not?
This Katana Soul being very kind and mostly sticking to the Bolt Edge, which is not going to touch that Mog.
Pretty long battle with Katana Soul here. Oh! And Boo gets Blowfish, so it's all in vain. That's going to be a time loss there. Sadness.
So that Blowfish is a static 1,000 points of damage, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah, real nasty attack to run into early on. Barren Falls is a dud. All you get is a behemoth suit, so bad news for Edgeworth and Flurry. And at the end of the train to recruit Locke, you have to defeat Tritalk. Zeno, luckily, is pretty well prepared here, has high enough level to have Fire Dance on Sabin, so that's going to be his main offense. And Cyan can cut through his high defense with his Dispatch.
Yeah, it looks like Boo is saying goodbye to that offering. And it looks like that was a Esper here in Zen. And it looks like Edgeworth is money grinding for it.
Yep, looks like he should have plenty of money now. He's well over that 21,000 threshold, so he'll be picking up. Tritalk down for Zeno. So Locke officially recruited for Zeno now. Boo battling Tritalk now does have those fire rods, so that should make pretty quick work of the boss here.
And we have a Esper with not the great magic, but it was Fenrir, which is very nice for Kefka 4. Kefka 3, sorry.
Yeah, Fenrir is a very nice insurance to have against that very pesky calmness, or possibly double calmness counterattack whenever tier 3 is finished off. Zeno, right behind Edge and Flurry, is going to try out Barren Falls as well.
And it looks like Flurry is going to be dipping into Cyan's Dream, which is a nice play against Cyan. Hopefully his max power this early into a seed.
Yeah, you want to power Cyan up as quick as you can, because he'll become a murder machine once you can get through this area. All you have to do is defeat 2 bosses, you get 3 checks, and you unlock Cyan's potential.
The problem is, though, if you accidentally save over it, I think you're pretty much stuck here.
Yeah, if you there's no way to the dream completed, so saving to a different file is advised. Boo with Lock and Toe is heading straight to Narsh. And not really much of a choice to make there. You want the Magicite, not the ribbon. So there's Magicite number 3 for Boo. It is Raiden. And it teaches Stop, which has surprisingly some use. You can stop a good handful of bosses and make them completely trivial, including the notorious Spicy Chicken.
That's actually how I got through my spicy chicken last night. Was I remember that my Strago had stopped, and spicy chicken couldn't do anything to me, so I just kind of pecked away at him.
Very nice. Speaking of hacking away, we've got Flurry battling Kefka. Not final Kefka, the Narsh version of Kefka here. Hacking away with Cyan's Quadra Slam. Not Quadra Slice, not the good one, but still a solid 1,000 damage a turn right now.
So our Curse Shield was only 10. I would definitely think of taking an item off, taking a weapon off a lock and getting that done. It looks like that's what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 battles is an entirely reasonable amount. Ultima from the shield will probably only come into play for Boo late in the seed because 10 battles is not immediate, but just having the Paladin shield increases the character's chance for survival immensely, so that is the premium defensive item of the game. So nice pickup for Boo if he's gonna go all the way through and uncurse it.
It looks like Zenobian's right on his tail.
Yeah, right there on his tail, picking up Raiden, and going to be picking up that Cursed Shield. Boo making a return trip to Albrook. Making some sales to rally some cash here. Sold one of his Minervas off there. Pretty nice price tag on that.
I'm a little surprised at that, considering how good Minervas are. There's a lot of other stuff you could sell first, but we'll see what happens with it later on.
Yeah, well, Boo's just picking up more fire rods. That's his MO right now, looks like. Rod Racer indeed. Well, now we're starting to see our runner's path diverge quite a bit here. We've got Zeno heading back, presumably to do the Kefka Narsh fight. We've got Boo inside of South Figaro Cave to battle whatever's in Tunnel Armor's spot. Edgeworth is going to be heading through to check what's behind Gogo's Chancellor army. And Flurry now about 2/3 of the way through the dream sequence.
This is where it gets interesting, though, because this is where we start getting to the bosses of the dream. We'll see who our secondary boss is.
Yeah, well, the first one was another pushover. We've seen a lot of easy bosses early on in the season. So that's not necessarily good, because that means that some of the nastier ones might be inside Kefka's tower. And inside Cyan's dream is where you recruit Terra. So on top of powering up Cyan, Flurry can also recruit the strongest character in the randomizer. It's just Ultros 1 for Boo inside South Figaro Cave, so another pushover battle. Edgeworth finally runs into a Zone Eater and is waiting to have his characters devoured. Did not switch over to solo party for here, so it's going to take a little bit longer for the Zone Eater, and with how much he was walking on the world map, you have to think he probably forgot to take off the Moogle Charm for a moment. Zeno's going to take a stab at this Storm Dragon in Narsh, try to pick up some nice treasure from it. Dragons are not mandatory in the race, but they do give a boatload of magic points experience and drop some quite nice items.
Yep, so you'll usually get 2 top-tier items, not always, but we'll see what this one gives off. So you were mentioning how Terra's one of the best characters in the game. Who is your god 4, if you had to pick 4 that you want to go with at the end?
In an ideal world, if you could have your pick of all the characters, the best party you can make in the randomizer is Terra, Shadow, Celes, and Cyan, I would say.
I would probably swap Celes and Realm myself, just because Realm is more of the magic powerhouse.
Realm doesn't have natural magic. Natural magic is a huge advantage when you have no control over which spells are available to you otherwise. Also, Runic is not useless, unlike Sketch.
We do have our fixed dice for Edge. We'll see if he actually uses it or not.
Well, Edge hasn't found an offering yet, so hard to say. Edge does have some rods in reserve, so probably has some better options than throwing dice and hoping for the best right now. Just a ribbon from Gogo's check, so time wasted for Edge, unfortunately, there. And even more so, no Warp Stone in his possession, looks like, so he's going to have to go the long way out of here. Second boss inside Cyan's dream for Flurry, and it's Ifrit and Shiva, so not a terribly difficult boss there. Flurry not necessarily well prepared for the Ifrit portion, but over on Shiva, he's got that fire dance to do a real respectable amount of damage.
So we also saw a gem box in Gogo's cave in that last chest.
And at the Tritok spot for Zeno, we have first Atma weapon, the easier Atma weapon.
Looks like Zenobian is letting Cyan be cursed.
Well, it's an understandable decision at this point. Hasn't gone through the dream yet, so Cyan is not necessarily the greatest character. I mean, he's got some decent offensive options with his other characters. Mog seems to have decent magic fueling those Bolt 2s. Sabin's Ore Bolt's doing fine, and it looks like Locke is swinging around a Ragnarok, so hard to argue right now.
And we see
and he has elected Mog to be his cursed human. Dream complete for Flurry, so Flurry has recruited Terra, powered Cyan up, and now also gets to get another free check here at the Doma Throne. And it's Golem, the other Esper that's quite useful in the final battle.
Yeah, so I actually got confused by that too because we saw the dancing Mog by Boo. That's actually his Locke in the Moogle suit. I was trying to figure out why he had two Moogles.
Well, when you're watching 4 screens, you just look at the character sprite and you just go with it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd have to look up myself and I saw two Moogles. I was like, wait a minute. One of them is not right.
Well, Edgeworth quickly up Mount Zozo and is gonna battle the dragon and see what happens here. It's the Ice Dragon. Potentially not a difficult battle, but it all depends. Only one character frozen, I think Edge can work around that.
I think he has some fire rods, or he should at this point.
Doesn't look like it. Boo's the only player that went to Albrook. That's where the fire rods were for sale. Albrook, World of Balance. Zeno now heading into the dream sequence. We're a little over a half hour in now, and it's still pretty close between all 4 of our runners. Everyone right around the 4 character and Esper mark. Edgeworth defeats the Ice Dragon, so gonna pick up a Force Shield and something. Another Minerva, which presumably no one can still use. Minerva will be nice once Edgeworth goes to that dream and recruits Terra. It's looking like the dream is necessary for progression here because outside of finding Gogo and Locke after picking up Sabin early, seems like you need Terra to progress further in the seed and recruit more characters.
Which is interesting considering how many checks Sabin gives. But we also have Phoenix Cave, which I don't think anyone's gone to right now.
No, and Mount Zozo is another dud for Edgeworth. It's an item. Flurry most of the way through the sealed gate cave. Pretty much the automatic play anytime you recruit Terra, since there's so many free treasure boxes here and no boss required. And it's just a stunner for Edgeworth. Ouch, that's a big whammy.
And no warp stone out. Would you preload your game at that point, or would you still just keep your dragon loot?
If I saved outside Zozo and didn't have a warp stone, I probably would reload my game. Absolutely. Force Shield's nice, but Minervas are plentiful and not equipable by most characters, it looks like. So outside of a bit of a level gain there, which can be done in a myriad of other ways, it's kind of lost time walking out here. It's only about a minute or so, but we've had some close races in this Battle Royale, and we're down to our final four, and as they've agreed on, this is winner takes all. Whoever wins this race is going to be your champion. Boo is now also heading to Mount Zozo. So going to be a dud for Boo here in a few moments once he completes that. Flurry, having gone through the sealed gate cave, is now going to head back to Narsh and battle whatever is in the Welk spot. Edgeworth finally makes the tandem train to pick up Locke. And Zeno taking a save in a different slot wisely before fighting the boss inside the dream. Not going to be an issue since it's Ifrit and Shiva. Zeno is pretty well prepared for that. Couple ice rods on hand. This might be enough, honestly. Real huge hit from Sabin's Ice Rod. I'm going to follow up with Mog, who's a higher level.
I'm fairly sure Edge will probably just walk right by that monster in a box. I don't think he's going to bother checking it. And we have a Doomgaze, which is not fun to see.
Doomgaze in the Tritox spot, nasty. Not level 5 though, so all his party members are still up. Just a matter of dealing damage, since Doomgaze is one of the bosses that will have the higher amount of hit points. And Flurry forced to rely on some slow attacks here. Damage will come, but not necessarily as quickly as one would like here.
Thankfully, at least, this version of Doomgaze will not run away a million times.
Yeah, and Zeno's completed the dream sequence, so Terra immediately added to his party and pick up the free Golem Magicite as well.
Golem in that same kind of tier as Fenrir. That's really nice on Kefka 3.
Yeah, it's one of the few Espers that you'd actually want to summon in normal play. Who picks up his Force Shield in Minerva from defeating the Ice Dragon and is disappointed with his stunner. And Edgeworth does check the monster in a box, so Offering will be in play for Edge if he can defeat Katana Soul here. Be interesting to see if he decides to adopt the dice strategy for a while.
We have a question for you in chat, Jack. At what level do you no longer add Terra to your party?
Well, baby characters will catch up quicker as the seed goes on. If she's the absolute last thing before you find going into Kefka's tower, that's pretty much the point where I'd say it's too late. If you still have a few checks, she's going to catch up, and Morph is a ridiculous passive. If she's 10 levels lower than the rest of your party, she's still going to hit harder than them as long as you make good use of that Morph command, which is... you can basically use it for 2 or 3 turns every other boss fight with the accelerated MP growth, so it's pretty nice.
We just saw Edgeworth dunk Katana Soul on his head with a suplex.
Had to get a suplex in somewhere. Electing to sacrifice Mog to get that Merton off. But you alluded to it earlier, Edgeworth likes his Merton. It's a pretty good spell if you can deal with it, and with 2 characters immune to it, why not?
The nice thing is it's relatively fast, too. It's not a long animation spell.
Yeah, it just kind of flies right through the screen and it's done. Faster than Ultima for sure. Boo now inside of Cyan's dream. Looks like Zeno took a chance on a random battle in Zozo, but it's just some trash mobs from World of Ruin and Irish. Not particularly interesting.
Edge does take out Console, gets an offering and a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely a lot of options there. Gonna give Cyan that offering. Don't know what weapon Cyan has equipped, but could be an interesting play. Unfortunately for Edge, he's cleared up pretty much everything he can with his roster of 4, now 5 characters. Really needs to go do that dream, because that certainly seems like that's what unlocks the rest of the seed here. Either that, or Phoenix Cave leading to another character with a lot of checks. Zeno also heading to Mount Zozo. So we're going to have several disappointed runners with the results here. I mean, the dragon will certainly help to power up their party a little bit, but it's not getting them any closer to that finish line.
Yeah, it looks like we have a gambling Cyan.
Edgeworth giving Cyan the dice and the offering makes me think that maybe he's thinking, I don't really want to do the dream. It does take a little bit of time to get through, but he's going to have to go there eventually if it's not the Phoenix Cave, I think. And Boo has defeated regular Kefka inside of Cyan's head, underwater. Don't question it.
Down goes try talk for Edge.
And Boo's going to go through the first car in the dream and see what's inside the treasures. Well, it's got sniper in the name, but it's the relic, not the weapon. Disappointing. Going to check the lump of metal chest as well. Well, looky there, another offering for Boo. Boo's followers have been making quite a few offerings to their lord and master at the altar today, it would seem. We've got Flurry battling at my weapon in the Tritalk spot. And we've got Zeno watching a pigeon fly away and leaving behind a piddly little stunner.
Flying away with our hopes and dreams.
Oh, come on, Fowls. We never had any of those to begin with. Don't lie to the people.
Kefka stole them. And it looks like Edge is now going to do his lock series. So he'll get his shield, and he'll get an Esper here. And we'll see if he goes to the Phoenix Cave next, which, knowing Edge, that could be his next play.
It certainly could, and we'll then see if there are, in fact, multiple paths through this seed, or if Dream is required. But yeah, Edge picking his locks with Lock. Boo just about finished up the Dream. Zeno also taking the long walk of shame down Mount Zozo. And Flurry battling at my weapon, but you can see how much faster that sword tech gauge fills in the rando. So Cyan is a very viable party member.
That West Wind did quite a bit of hefty damage.
Whirlwind is a percentage attack. It's wind elemental, but it's effectively like Kefka's Fallen 1, except instead of putting you to 1 health, it just puts you in critical, like, single digit hit point health. So it can be nasty, but the accuracy on it isn't that great. There's Carbuncle for Flurry. There's Ifrit and possibly Shiva for Boo, though I would be amazed if Shiva made an appearance with Boo's truckload of ice rods. Like, Boo has enough ice rods to forever put our universe into a state of absolute zero.
And Edge is going into the dream.
Well, there it is. Edge is gonna find the way forward from here. Interestingly enough, though, from the couple of quick Terra checks that we've seen so far, really haven't found anything to help us progress. Doomgaze was a dud, I believe.
That makes you wonder about Phoenix Cave still.
Yeah, it certainly does. We'll just have to see when someone gets brave enough to head to the top of Zozo or take a ride on the raft.
The Wrath play at this point in the game could be interesting, considering that it could get Terra some quick levels, and getting her kind of fresh is nice to have.
Flurry's making a lot of use out of that flare spell early on here. Really hoping he'll start to switch over to some faster animations because progression-wise he's doing quite well here, but we've seen, compared to our other three racers, Flurry having much longer battles against his bosses.
Still, Boo might have a little bit of a lead, but everyone is still pretty close to equal. We have Zenobian doing the Funbaba check. I did not see if he checked what Funbaba will give us.
Just diving right into it, yeah.
I mean, you need an Esper and you need characters still, so there's no point in not just getting it done.
Well, if it turns out to be a heal rod, then that's some time you'd certainly like to have back.
Yeah, I mean, there's that aspect as well, but we'll see what happens.
Well, honestly, I think it's a pretty safe play because we've seen enough dud checks already that it'd be pretty unlikely for this one to be another item.
Zophyr is saying that Funbaba's going to give us the Ifrit Esper.
Yeah, well, no one asked Zelfer, did we? I'm just kidding. Well, Funbaba leads to Funbaba. That's not very random.
Basically, Funbaba 3 into Funbaba 4.
Flurry's heading into Umaro's cave? Did he pick up Umaro somewhere and we missed it?
That is a good question. Oh, apparently Umaro was at the Narsh Welk.
Apparently, I guess we both missed it. We're bad at looking at 4 screens at the same time, I dare say, Fals.
There's a lot of chaos going on, and 4 people in 4 different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to...
Well, I can see why Fleur's heading here right away. Fleur is going to be able to just about assemble the dream team after recruiting Shadow. I guess the real question here is, does he replace Sabin or Mog at this point? Looks like it's Ultros number 2, so this is not going to be much of an issue.
Yeah, you're about halfway through the seed. It's still viable to pull in Shadow and get him beefed up. We do have a low Terror still, though, as well.
Flurry's battled a couple of dragons and bosses tearing the party. She's probably solidly in the 20s at this point. She should be pulling her weight. Electing not to use Shadow.
Oh well, Terra's already 25.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long for your babies to catch up the way that the progression works. The only time where you really can't commit to a new character, at least in a race situation, is if they're the absolute last thing you find, granting you enter to Kefka's tower, because unless you go out of your way to grind them up, they're just not really going to catch up there. Like, there's a couple exceptions that I would make if you're willing to try something sneaky in the first couple phases. Like, say, you found an air anchor early on and you pick up Edgar as your last character. Well, he might be worth taking into the final battle just to get a couple air anchors off on the deathable parts and then, have him be killed by the boss and replaced at the next tier with one of your beaters.
I remember a couple weeks ago, you took a very low level Roman to the final Kefka fight, and she turned out to be a heavy damage dealer for you.
I don't know if that was me. I wouldn't take a look at the final battle. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
She was like in the 30s.
Okay,
low compared to other characters.
Oh, compared to other characters, well, if that's the case, there were probably good spells available. She does have the highest natural magic power, which can mean something. Generally, level is the most important stat, but the magic power actually helps your magic, unlike the other stats, which marginally help those particular defenses and damage. And yeah, there's Sellies, so Dream Team could be assembled. How about that? Just hanging outside Gao's dad's place. So Flurry now going to finally head to South Figaro, which all of our 3 other races did early on to find some gear and get powered up. But Flurry with a purpose. There's a free check for him here. And Flurry's Terra looking downright invincible with Ragnarok, Aegis Shield, and Minerva on, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a question of can you finish the game at this point. A lot of nice things available across the board for all our runners. What it's going to come down to is who can find those characters and espers the fastest. And after that, who can adjust their tactics to have the fastest combats.
Have a bit of a synchronization between Boo and Edge.
Yeah, the Doom Gaze battle going on for both characters. Both racers. Well, to be fair, they both are quite the character, aren't they?
Edge doing the fixed ice route, whereas Boo's just kind of pecking away at him.
Yeah, you can see between the two on Boo's side, Cyan's quadruple swords go off faster than Edge's 4 fixed dice and do consistent damage, whereas Edge's dice have mostly let him down so far.
Boo electing to continue past walk to pick up that ribbon. I like that play. Just some quick, easy money. That's not very time-consuming.
No, definitely not. And there's, well, definitely disposable attack items available. We've already found the 2 best store-bought weapons in the same shop, but we've got Ragnaroks at this point, so they're a little obsolete, I dare say.
So the reason that ribbon was there is that would be the item that is not picked from the Lone Wolf check. For those in chat who are wondering why a random ribbon was sitting in the back of Nourish. Boo is going back to the store to buy some more items. Selling off a couple things. I'm gonna sell off that ribbon that he just picked up.
Yeah, basically looking for anything that's got a reasonable sell value, or say that he's starting to sell, well, it's 100 gold, it's 100 gold. I don't think I'm going to use Shadow. Let's get this out of here. Ooh, going to refresh his stack of rods.
Here we have both Edge and Flurry making the climb up Zozo.
Yes, we do. The unexplored side of Zozo, no less.
This is my least favorite part of Zozo, trying to get past these little guys. But then the check is pretty quick.
Yeah, it slows you down a little bit, but chances are other racers are going to do it as well. So you have to look at it that way. If I have to deal with it, so does everyone else, usually. Well, boss at the top is Flame Eater, so that's probably a complete non-issue for most of our racers. Flurry, I still don't think ever picked up any rods, but he should still make pretty short work of this boss. Just going to cleave those balloons away and start focusing single target damage against the Flame Eater. Oh no, he's got some ice rods. It's over. It is over.
What do you think? 2 rods, maybe 1?
Probably 2 rods at this point, based on the character progression. No, Flurry, why are you using Flare? Use the ice rod. You just gave 10 seconds to everybody. It gets the job done, but man, that animation time, it's painful to watch.
Yeah, it looks like Zenobia is going for another dragon, going to the World of Ruin Opera House dragon. Beef up his turret just a bit.
Magic site at the top of Zozo, it is Tritalk. Gonna check and see what spells it teaches, though honestly at this point in the seed I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But lo and behold, it has Ultima at times 7. So, this seed just got even more easier.
Yeah, Flurry and Edge are both going to be quite happy to see that, I think.
I definitely agree. Edge electing to check the chests, whereas Flurry skipped over them, and seems wisely so, just to revivify in a Chocobo suit, so nothing important there. Edge, unfortunately, does not have his Terra as high leveled as Flurry, so no warp available. Edge is going to have to walk all the way down, whereas Flurry can just warp right out. That's another reason why I say Terra is the best character. Natural Magic Warp at level 26, I believe. Can't find Warp Stones? Got Terra? No problem. Minutes saved. Wouldn't call this a walk of shame for Edge, though. It at least accomplished something. Mount Zozo was a walk of shame because that did nothing.
Boo is also about to pick up his lovely Ultima times 7.
Yep, he just saw that, and, well, he's going to do that right. Probably not a bad choice given the layout of his... Log's probably the character that would benefit from having Ultima the most. Cyan's fine with his techs, Locke's got a Ragnarok, and Terra is Terra.
I don't think Edge checked the Esper, though.
No, he did not. I can understand why Edge wouldn't check the Esper. At this point, you start to feel pretty good about the way your party's set up, and you start just saying, well, it doesn't matter what the Esper is at this point. I know what my characters are doing for the rest of the seed, and I feel like I'm getting close. Like, Edge only needs 1 character and 5 Espers, so I can understand the reasoning behind that. Flurry makes his way to the top of Mount Zozo, so all 4 of our players get the disappointing stunner. Unlike the other 3, though, Flurry can just cast Warp and get out of there, so it's a little bit less of a disappointment for him, because he's not losing the time the other 3 racers did.
The other reason I think Edge may not be checking that Esper is he is trying to save the menuing time. He'll probably go into the menu when he has to do a few things instead of just 1.
That's also a very good strategy as well. It's pretty tempting to open up the menu every time you find this piece of gear that you want to put on someone in your party, but those menu times add up. So generally, a good strategy is to just keep looting until you actually have to fight something. That's when you want to open your menu and fiddle with things. So we've got Edgeworth going through the sealed gate cave now. We've got Boo also having to do the long walk out of Zozo. Zeno has found Vargas and the Ipoos, the randomizer's second best progressive hair metal band.
You could just use a pummel on Sabin and hope he targets Vargas with it.
You absolutely could. It's one of the things that's been left in. There are a couple of bosses that have specific insta-kills. In the case of Vargas, Sabin's pummel will do it, and for Ultros 3, a sketch will do it.
If it hits.
Yes, if it hits. That can be quite the problem at times. Sketch is not good.
Yeah, sketch is one of those things that when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, you just kind of sit there and scratch your head.
Off the top of my head, I can only think of a few uses for sketch in the randomizer. And generally, if you're using Realm, she probably would have something better to do at that point, like cast a spell. But if you're really desperate, I mean, you can sketch Final Kefka for an Ultima spell, so that's the only real good one that comes to mind.
So, Edge saw the Ultima, but he's keeping the magic plus power on Terra for now. Given that she's still a low level, he knows he's going to gain a few levels, and then once he does that, he'll probably swap over and teach her the Ultima later.
Yeah, could very well be. Well, Flurry inside of the Velt Cave. This is going to be Esper number 8, assuming it's not a undefeated boss. Well, what am I saying? It's Vargas and the Ipoos. We just saw Zeno here. Spoiler alert!
And we're seeing another new check. Oh no, never mind. We see the top on our check. Never mind. I forget what was here though.
Nothing too threatening from what I remember. Boo's gonna battle a couple of fun Babas and... Oh, excuse me! Pick up that Ifrit Esper so that I'll put Boo at 10 Espers and 7 characters. So still a pretty tight race. Boo may be a slight lead on progression right now, but it's really still anyone's game. This final has certainly lived up to our expectations so far.
Yeah, I mean, he and Edge will be tied because Edge will get another Esper here from this fight. So they'll both be 7-10, 7-9.
Well, Boo's going to get number 10. But Boo had to do 2 bosses, whereas Edgeworth only has to do 1. One of the easier bosses at that.
So if you're 7-10 or 7-9, would you do floating con at this point? Because you do have those couple checks up there.
100%. If I'm 7-9, I 100% go here. You're going to get at least 1 Esper, possibly a character from the first spot, which can have 1. You might even get 2 characters and an Esper and just be sitting pretty there. So, Floating Continent, there's a bit more combat involved in it than other checks, but there are 3 things there. It's basically an inverse Magitech factory, where you have the random battles at the start instead of at the end.
Can you get 2 characters up on the Floating Continent?
I guess you actually technically could get 2 characters on the Floating Continent, but I don't know that I've ever seen it happen before. And at this point, where we know where I believe 9 of the 14 are, I'd be shocked if there were 2 up there.
And we have another different check. We have the Opera for Zenobian.
Yeah, Opera is an interesting one. It's not necessarily a slow or quick check. It kind of depends on where those rats want to move. I mean, it's not a bad check to do if you want to get a little bit of extra experience, or in this case for Zeno, uncurse that shield. As you can see, he's now rocking a Paladin shield, and that's instantly going on Terra, who's wearing Paladin shield and Minerva, so she's just never going to die for Zeno as well.
We do have Flurry going through the Magic Tech Factory. That's another 3 possibility checks. So nice.
Yeah,
go for him.
I like this play from Flurry because he's a character. Because he's just looking for Espers here. Like if I'm Theo in this situation, I'd do the first 2 checks, which are quick, and then warp out and look for Espers elsewhere, rather than gamble on the minecart.
I'd probably do the first 2 checks, warp out, and then do floating continent for my last couple.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be the play here, and Flurry definitely spell. So we'll see if well, the saying is great minds think alike. So we'll see if Flurry has a great mind or not, shall we?
And Edge is seeing the old man and probably not too happy because I know he hates him. But that doesn't give him his 8th character.
Let's be honest, no one really likes Straight. His checks are horrible. I mean, unless you want to grind, but they're slow. Nobody likes Strago. I don't even think Strago likes Strago. Well, Boo also heading up to the top of World of Ruin Darsh, electing to fight another dragon. And then gonna run into, if I remember correctly, the regular Atma weapon, and then go through Umaru's cave to pick up Shadow. And Boo making one of my favorite uses of the offering there, throwing snipers, and you can see the huge damage that weapon puts out against floating targets. I think he got all 4 of those attacks to proc for about 2,000 a shot. Very nice.
Now, Edge poked the auction house and got an item and just reset instead of going through the entire auction sequence. I'm not quite sure which method is faster.
If you pick up one of the items, one of the non-repeatable items, it at least takes it out of the pool. So it's one less disappointing thing to have show up. But yeah, Edge fishing through the auction house for Espers at this point looks like always a risky play because the auction house loves to troll you. Loves to just waste your time.
One thing that could be interesting would be to
into Magitech Factory, and it's Chadarnook. So this is going to be a slightly longer boss fight.
Edge having no luck with this auction.
Well, Zeno, after having picked up Gao, has given the soldier some dried meat and gets the Esper Zone Seek. So that's Esper number 8 for Zeno. Flurry electing to save his Morph Gauge rather than give Chadarnook the business. Nice swing of that Ragnarok by Savin, procs Flare. It's not the best weapon for Savin with his low magic power. Those procs aren't going to hit quite as hard as some of the more magic-oriented characters, but still a decent option. Boo just cuts that Atma weapon to ribbons, so that is done for him. And Zeno is now going to go down the Serpent Trench.
It's still amusing me how we have all 4 of these guys in separate places. There has not been a lot of sync. We finally get our first Esper here for Edge.
Yeah, that's definitely a pleasing result for him. And looks like Boo is going to have... No, just going to cure some poison there. I thought he was... I'm not really sure what Boo was doing there for a moment there, but yeah, just going to top his party up there. Checks the carbuncle. It has Doom. It's kind of obsolete. Interesting battle here for Zeno inside the Serpent Trench. Looks like he's going to try to cleave his way through it. If those Frog's jump, though. Oh my, that's not going to be good. Looks like he's going to get away with it, though. Cut, 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 and they're all donezo.
Those frogs can be a bit of a pain because they do like to jump.
Yeah, you can see, though, that they're one of the more profitable battles to fight there. Experience quite nice from a pack of 4, and the money from this is quite underrated as well. Like, I didn't see what it was from Zeno, but at this point in the race, I'd be guessing he probably got about 90,000 gold from defeating those.
We had a question in chat of espers in the auction house. So they can be up to 2, as low as 0, but the old man will always tell you if there's one still there. So if you talk to the old man, he says glowing stones are still available, you know you still have another one to pick up.
Exactly. Well, Boo has gone to pick up Shadow and run to Ultra 2. Non-issue. Boo's going to be at 11 and 8. Boo rocking the progression right now. Edgeworth does not find the second Esper in the auction house. So, chance for Boo to pull into the head of the pack here, at least as far as progression goes. Zeno runs into a battle that's really not worth fighting, but elects to finish it anyway. Like, something important to keep in mind is that a lot of these quote-unquote forced battles, if they're not a boss and it's an enemy you can escape from in the normal game, you can just turn right around and run away, and might save you some time. And,
Edge throwing in the towel on the auction house for now.
Who can blame him? The auction house is just brutal. The good news is that Edge is going to get an Esper from having some fun with Mr. Baba here. And Flurry's committed to the minecart, so he's going to be heading that way now. And Zeno going for Tech 7 over Tech 8 against that Ursus. That animation time is going to cost him a little bit, but probably not the end of the world. And I saw Zeno get over 100,000 gold from eating that bear. So I'm guessing the bear robbed him a few times, and I think he probably still has that cat hood on Terra. How much money does Zeno have at this point? I'm honestly curious. He might have over 1 million gil after that Serpent Trench run.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay, he's got nearly 300,000 gil. That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen that much in any race of this before.
Let's go buy some rods, I guess. I don't know.
No, he's just gonna go buy some megalixirs because why not?
Always nice to have at least one for Kefka. Boo checks Celeste's cell, just gets a Genji shield.
Yeah, not what he was looking for, unfortunately, but Boo's got a pretty sizable advantage right now. Just has to keep pressing and find that last Magicite.
Edge, unfortunately, having to take a reset out of Fumbaba, didn't have the power to take out the second part of it.
Always sad to see that. Just lost the wrong characters there, so that's not doing him any favors. Little factoid, though, for some of our potential players here. In that Fumbaba 3 fight, you can control which characters get kicked out of your party. If you know which 2 characters you want for the follow-up battle, you can deliberately kill the other 2 characters, and Fumbaba will always use Baba Breath on your dead characters over your alive ones.
So we are probably about roughly halfway through. Going to give a couple quick shoutouts. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, please A, join our Discord. We have a very nice community. B, give our runners a follow. We have Boo, Zenobian, Edgeworth, and Flurry14. Our backstage help today is Classy Badger, and Franklin. We definitely appreciate both of them. And of course, my co-com today, Jack and Swedge.
Yeah, and don't forget our restreamer and our tracker.
Well, I mentioned them.
Well, I don't think you mentioned them enough. They don't have the level of voice that we do. Their feelings need to be heard.
Yeah, so without the restream crew, we can't get these races on, and this has been a lot of fun to watch.
It certainly has. This has been quite a race here. It's quite close, and everyone's just completely on very different paths ever since everyone went through the dream and found Terra to open the seat up. Welk down for Flurry at the end of the minecart ride. That's not going to get him the reward from the Magitech factory just yet. Just has to walk to the end of the tracks here. See what it is. It's a Magicite. That's what he wants. And now have to defeat another boss to finish it off. Oh no, not number 24. Whatever shall he do?
The fake Magimaster.
Well, Flurry's going to elect to keep casting that slow flare spell. He's got Ultima on Terra, though, so this will probably kill the boss outright at this point, you would have to think.
Mr. Ernie and Chapter, good point that we did forget to thank someone, and that's someone who, without this, wouldn't happen, and that is the creator of this randomizer, Amatech himself, who has done a phenomenal job with this randomizer.
He most certainly has fouls, but I believe we were saving him for potential special announcement after the race, so I don't think anyone wants to go anywhere.
A special announcement, you say? Yes, we will touch on that after this. And Edgeworth takes down Fumbaba on the second attack, near up his 11th Esper. Now, does Edge go back to the auction again? He needs one Esper. I don't know if Edge knows where he wants to go. Is he going up to Tri-Talk? Alright, so that is go mode for Boo. Levels in the high 30s, low 40s, Jack. How do you feel about those kind of levels for Unscaled Kefka Tower? Oh, well, I guess Jack actually DC'd. So his levels may be a tad on the lower side. We'll see how he handles, especially Kefka 4. And Edgeworth will be right on his heels once he gets his last Esper from Kefka's Tower. From Tri-Talk spot.
Could very well be. Well, Flurry defeats the guard leader and recruits useless old man Strago.
It looks like Zenobian's pretty close too. He just needs one more Esper.
Yeah, Boo's ready to go, but everyone else isn't too far behind, honestly. It's still anyone's game, even though Boo's the first into Kefka's Tower. I don't think victory over the remaining boss is in question, but there's still a lot to be decided in terms of combat speed.
We also haven't seen a lot of the potentially harder bosses. We haven't seen the 3 towers. We haven't seen Inferno. We haven't seen Magimaster. So there's still work to do.
Certainly can be fouls. I think the only truly nasty boss that we've seen throughout the seed has been Doomgate. So, potentially a lot of horrible surprises awaiting our racers inside of the Big K's tower.
And this will all be unskilled from this point on. The scaling is gone. Everything's going to be at their max strength at this point.
Well, the final bosses are at their max strength. The statue spots, I believe, are still scaled under these settings.
I'll have to double check that, but I think the statues are also unskilled.
Zeno giving his vote of confidence to Mog, changing his name accurately.
Okay, it doesn't say either way, it just says apply scale in the final battle. So yeah, the statues could possibly still be scaled.
That doesn't mean that they're not a threat, although all our players are very well prepared at this point. Yeah, Boo and Zeno running through Kefka's tower. Zeno a little bit ahead of Boo inside character path number 2 right now. But I don't believe Zeno walked through the first handful of screens for party number 1. So Boo should be slightly ahead overall right now.
It really comes down to combat and how kind Kefka is with his gauntlet. Edge will be heading up after this Atma fight.
Yeah, I don't think Atma's going to last very long under the hail. Well, first boss inside Kefka's tower is going to be fought by Zeno with his party numero 3 here. And we got some stoogey action. Be interesting to see how Zeno decides to take this fight. The one at the back, vulnerable to cleave. Looked like Zeno was going for it for a moment, but then just pulled off at the last moment. And no, we got some flare coming. You know our opinion on flare, folks.
Yeah, you want to get that top one done as fast as possible, though, so I can kind of see it.
You certainly do, but even using cleave, at least to waste its turn over and over again. And flare cannot be the best option that Zeno has for Terra at this point, right? Oh, well, there comes a Delta attack. Luckily, Zeno prepared with a few consumables here. Boo is now going to enter combat against the Stooges as well. This will be the true show here between the two of these, who's getting some faster combats. Well, Boo has Ultima on Terra, so I think the smart money's on him right now. But, yeah, and on top of that, he's still got Locke with the Offering and the Sniper, and you can see, as I mentioned before, how devastating that weapon is against floating targets. Just one Stooge left, and I don't think it's too long for this world. Yeah, there it is. Stooge is down for Boo already, like it was nothing. Well, after having done the Opera House, unfortunately for Flurry, it's just going to be Gao. Gao does lead to some Espers, though, if you do his checks, at least.
And here comes Edge into Kefka's tower. Has some time to make up, but anything can happen. Do you have a way you like to set up your teams for Kefka's tower, where you usually put most of your people?
Usually the smart play is to put your 2 best in party because the most bosses if you go through the tower optimally. But you can be burned with a solo character against a tough boss on the other routes as well, because typically the strategy is to really only focus on leveling 4 characters. That's all you need, but getting through Kefka's tower with a solo character and the wrong boss can be problematic. I saw Boo put an experience egg on Terra, and I was a little worried that Boo was going to consider fighting some dragons for extra experience at this point, would just be giving away precious minutes in this race. So no, it looks like Boo's going to press the advantage that, well, he really can't know that he has, because all these randomizer races are blind, folks. But if Boo just keeps going, he could be our champion at the Battle Royale here. Edgeworth now inside Kefka's tower as well. Has a bit of ground to make up on both Boo and Zeno, who has finally defeated the Stooges there. Hopefully Zeno can speed up his combat a little bit here and make it interesting between him and Boo.
And we have one of our towers. We have Doom at the Guardian spot.
Yeah, not the nicest thing to run into. Doom probably the easiest of the three statues. Boo is probably going to mainly be relying on Terra's Ultima for this fight. Doom is one of the rare late game enemies that does not float, so his sniper is not going to be doing effective damage with Lock here, sadly. If he still has that Gradius, that'd be a better weapon to switch over to right now.
Ultima should make pretty quick work of him, though.
Well, it's only hitting the damage cap, and is not going to be foiled by Doom casting Image and Reflect on himself here.
Yeah, we have Edgeworth at the Stooges. Going straight to the Ultima against him.
Edgeworth still working on uncursing that shield that Locke's wearing. Still a second Ultima from Terra should be enough to end the fight here, one would hope. Yeah, there it is. Stooges down for Edgeworth. Zeno just futzing around with some buttons here. And final boss, or penultimate final boss number 2 for Boo, it's the Cranes. I don't know what it is about the Cranes, but this particular spot, Spicy Chicken, I tend to see the Cranes there quite a bit. Flurry is still searching for more Espers here. Real unfortunate for Flurry here. At the midpoint of the race, he was considerably ahead of the other Zon characters. But between a few slow combats, over-relying on that flare spell early on, and just a spate of bad luck in terms of finding Espers, has fallen off the pace a little bit here in the 11th hour of this race. He is going to get Raiden from the old man here, so that will be 11. And if he presses on through Narsh, the boss in the Tritalk spot also had an Esper, Carbuncle, I believe. But I think he was already up there because he's got 11 characters, so I'm pretty sure, yeah, Flurry was the first one to get Shadow, wasn't he?
I wonder if he'll poke the auction at this point.
It's a desperation play, but...
Okay, well, he's doing Tunnel Runner. I'll give him an Esper.
Yeah, he still has a couple of quick checks outside of going straight up for the auction here, so... And, yeah, he's picked one that's going to lead to Shiva, if memory serves, so... Give Flurry a couple of minutes and he'll be entering Kefka's tower. At a disadvantage for sure, but he's not sunk just yet.
He is a bit higher level than the other racers, though, so that could make up some time.
He will outdamage the other players for sure. It's still a matter of which damage options that he picks. Really don't want to see any more flares from Flurry at this point. That's just going to be costing him. Boss number 3 for Boo now is Umaro. Mog versus Umaro. Mog has Ultima. Umaro will probably go down in 2, possibly 3 castings of those, since they're not quite hitting the damage limit for him. Doom down for Zeno. Taking a moment to heal his characters up and take a save. Always good to save your game in this rando. especially when you don't know which bosses are coming up. I'm pretty sure Zeno will be relieved to see the cranes at the very least.
Edge working through Doom still. And it looks like Flurry is going to be heading to Kefka's Tower, so we'll have all 4 runners in the KT at the same time.
Yep, there's his Esper, so he's on his way. Has some time to make up, but still possible. Zeno bringing out the Tempest for fun there. Just gonna auto-attack his way through these cranes. Not a bad play when he doesn't have Ultima learned on any of these characters. Terra's Ragnarok is going to cut that crane into a pile of trash. Edgeworth now approaching the cranes, just less than a minute behind Zeno at this point. Who will be approaching boss number 4 inside the tower now. Still a lot of nasty bosses on the table here. Could be a turning point. We'll see what it is. Oh, it's Spicy Chicken.
He's one of the other ones that can be quite troublesome.
Yeah, you just saw him one stab in there and going right for offense. Probably doesn't stop here. He's doing 8,000 damage a turn with his Cyan, but Spicy Chicken's going to have a solid 40,000 or so here. And Cyan not immune to fire, so this could be a dicey battle for Boo.
That shrapnel does a lot of damage too.
Boss is vulnerable to stop. We'll see if Boo is able to remember. Tech number 6 inflicts stop. That would definitely get him an easy win over this boss. Not necessarily a fast one, but a win nonetheless. No, he's going right up for tech number 7 again here. Potential chance for the rest of our racers to catch up. Zeno and Edgeworth both battling Umaro at boss spot number 3 right now. And Flurry fast approaching the Stooges to start off his boss gauntlet inside Kefka's Tower.
Cyan taking a heavy 1,500 damage.
Yeah, Cyan running low on health here. Boo wisely tossing the elixir fight. Umaro not proving to be a tough opponent for Zeno here. And Edgeworth is going to pass Zeno with that Umaro kill. Takes him out with Cyan's sword, so we've got a lead switch for our 2nd and 3rd place racers now. Zeno forced to bring up a golem here to help him get past Umaro's nasty physical attacks. Oh, here comes a Southern Cross for Boo. This is gonna sting. Not as much as I was expecting. Boo still hanging tough there. Umaro down for Zeno. Edgeworth forced to use a tent to heal. No sleeping bags found, unfortunately. And Spicy Chicken down for Boo after a tough battle. So Boo will be on to the final boss momentarily. Big
and Edge just has Poltergeist.
Stooges. Spicy Chicken time for Edgeworth now. He's got Mog and Go-Go, which means he effectively has Mog. Luckily for Edgeworth, though, he's, I think, our only racer that found that gem box. So he could potentially 2-turn kill Poltergeist here with these double Ultimas.
Probably gonna help him out quite a bit against Kefka also.
Approaching Spicy Chicken as Boo steps on the buttons. It's going to be a real close finish between these three for sure. And with any luck here, Flurry can make mincemeat of this mini boss gauntlet and get right into that Kefka fight. It's not looking good for Flurry, but he's not out of it just yet.
Edge getting close, and there goes Poltergeist for Edge.
Yeah, that ultimate paying off in Edge here. Meanwhile, Zeno stuck with Sabin and Trash against Poltergeist. Trash continuously stumbling. Sabin
One of the bottom boss is also killable by
out of tier 2. The space rocks. Bit of damage in there. Boo's got high HP totals, so he can tank a couple of those without too much worry here. Just has to get the damage out and get rid of that tier as fast as possible before things get out of control. Edge onto tier 3 as well right now, but Boo just finishes up. You can see those calmnesses pinging off his golem wall. So Boo will be the first to final Kefka.
Now the question for you, Jack, is how hard do you push Kefka for? I think I'd probably try to play it smart, but it is the finals of the race. You know who you're going up against.
I think it depends entirely on your damage here, and I think Boo's pretty okay in that regard. I don't know if Boo has enough offense to kill him before one goner. Edgeworth certainly does. Edgeworth has the advantage on offense between the two of them, but he's got some ground to make up here. If I'm Boo, I'd probably try to go for broke, but while Kefka's charging up for that goner, I'm going to make sure that my party's topped off with my last action if I'm Boo. With Edge, Edge should be able to defeat Kefka before goner. Zeno running into a little bit of trouble again here against that first form. Electing not to open with Cleave, maybe forgetting that there's death vulnerable parts in this final boss. And Terra did a few drugs for him as well, so that's certainly not helping matters there. Who finally uses Morph on the very final boss. It is going to last the entire fight for him, and pretty much everyone else. I don't think I've seen anyone take advantage of Terra's Morph skill until now. Well, the Hyperdrive counters come out, so you know that Kefka's at least halfway done for Boo right now. And you can see another perk of that Morph command right there. Terra able to survive a Hyperdrive with her damage halved from being morphed. Boo gonna keep tossing out those snipers here. And Boo's just straight up going for the kill here. Dangerous.
There it goes. It's over.
Counter, and it's gonna be Boo. Boo is your Battle Royale champion. Boo
Time of 1:43:47.
1:43:47. Great time, and yeah, Boo is the very first winner of any sort of official tournament, elimination, whatever you want to call it, we've had for this randomizer. Get your GGs out. Do not boo this man, despite it being his name.
Fantastic job by Boo, and Edgeworth is right on his heels. Here comes the fallen one. He does have a Mega Elixir, I want to say.
Edge showing everyone why the fix is not that great. Some pathetic. However, we do mention that Edge does have an advantage over Boo on offense, even though Boo was able to defeat Kefka even before he charged for Goner. Risky business with those hyperdrive counters coming out too, but there's basically no way that Edge would lose this fight. Kefka is done, he just doesn't know it yet. Just throwing a wing edge with Mog for whatever reason. This Ultima should do it, one would assume. Yes, there it is. Kefka down for Edgeworth. Edgeworth is going to be your runner-up in the inaugural Battle Royale, finishing with a time of 1:45.32.
And both Edge and Zenobian are right there. So yeah, it looks like what kind of turn of difference was that opera house, auction house.
Auction
Not
house
being
is
kind.
Not kind to Edgeworth at all. They are trying to get that going. That said, you know, hats off to Boo. He's our champion, and I believe he'll be joining us here momentarily.
And we do have Boo in the booth with us. GG, my friend, congratulations on taking the first ever Final Fantasy VI Battle Royale.
Heyo, thanks. That was a lot of fun. Sounded like... Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So looks like it was a really close race. I figured it was gonna be. Wasn't expecting to win, but really didn't have a whole lot of trouble. I think this was actually my PB for the whole Battle Royale, so that was a good time to do it. And yeah, went pretty well.
PB, well done, Boo. Yeah, as we were saying, you're the champion of the official. Something for bragging rights. Call it a tournament, whatever you want there. But you're the winner. What's going through your mind as you're fighting Final Kefka on this one? Were you expecting it to be this close? Did you think you were behind? Let us know.
Yeah, I figured I was taking it pretty safe. I found some late items, like the experience egg, and I thought, yeah, safeguard. Make sure I don't wipe. And I figured a little time investment might save me some time, but I realized, not everybody needs that. It was kind of a risk, but I don't know. I guess I can't say it paid off because I really didn't have too much trouble. I wasn't too worried about Kefka since I was so high level and I had a good offense. But to answer your other question, I did think it was going to be really close. I was feeling like I was behind that whole time, just expecting to see somebody hit done, minutes before me. But luckily for me, I guess I screwed Edge, but not so good for him.
Yeah, right. And I think just the way you played the final Kefka, your urgency in trying to get this done definitely showed. You ate a couple nasty hyperdrive counterattacks, and you just kept going there. Were you at all concerned that final Fire 3 from Terra wasn't going to be enough? And if you ate that Ultima counterattack, that probably would have wiped you. So,
no,
how
actually,
are you feeling there?
Well, so I actually had Life 3 up on 3 people, 2 or 3 people, so I wasn't worried about it at all. I definitely would have been had I not gotten those Life 3s off, but since I knew I had those, I just went for it.
Those Life 3 spells.
Yeah, so I knew it was in good shape there, so I just let him have it.
We do also have Edge and Childless. GG, my friend, well played.
Hey, thanks.
So, talk us through the seed, Edge. I know the auction house kind of ate you, and that's kind of what the difference was, and I know that's probably making it salty, but talk us through the rest of it.
I mean, pretty straightforward. Gem box and fixed dice and Zone Eater pretty much carried me through the whole seed. I wouldn't be surprised if no one else did it or found it, but I don't know. I don't think it's that bad of a check.
I didn't do it, but I wasn't avoiding it specifically. I rolled on some other characters that where checks just seemed kind of quicker, and it kept going. I never really ran into any big issues, except for one. I was looking around monster in the boxes for an offering, and I found it, but turns out I wasn't ready for it. So that was the only bit of trouble it gave me. Only bit of trouble this seed gave me was a zesty Katana Soul. So I almost said, you know what, I kind of want that. I have luck. I might find a Valiant Knife, this, that, and the other. Might grind up for it, and then I said, nah, screw it. Luckily, found an offering later in the seed, so that worked out pretty good.
And you made good use of it, pairing it with probably not the best offering, but you were using it with a sniper, and it was really effective for you in quite a few boss fights, not just the final one.
Yeah, and I learned that from watching you, Jack. So thanks for that. I never knew much about the sniper, and today I learned. I noticed the wing edge was same damage from back row, just like it, and it was higher battle power. So I thought, oh, even better sniper. Turns out that wasn't the case. So new lessons learned today again.
Yep. When it comes to weapons in this game, battle power absolutely never tells the full story about what the weapon does, rather than how strong it is. And
Yep.
Don't mean to cut both of our finishers off here, but it's starting to get pretty interesting between Zeno and Flurry here for third. Zeno having quite a bit of difficulty getting through the final battle here, and Flurry pretty much making mincemeat out of it. He's caught up incredibly on Zeno here in the final go, and Boo and Edge, you guys had some pretty good runs through Kefka's tower, but Flurry had some difficulty finding Espers, but once he got into Kefka's tower, I think he might have been the fastest of the four of you so far.
That's certainly possible. If I had obviously I didn't know ahead of time, but if I had mixed up characters, put them in different places, I think I had a few that would be better suited for certain bosses, but, deal with it.
Absolutely. Both Boo, you had a bit of difficulty with Spicy Chicken in that, but not nearly as much. Zeno went in there with his solo Savin, and that was probably the absolute worst boss for him to run into with that party set up there. But we could really see the difference in the Spicy Chicken between you and Edge. You were quite ahead of Edgeworth at that point, but Spicy Chicken took you a while to take down, whereas Edge just double casted Ultimate twice, and get out of my way. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't extremely worried about him, although I'm glad it worked out knowing that. But I knew I had both a flame shield and a paladin shield I could have swapped in had I wiped or anything. But luckily made it through.
Boo, did it ever cross your mind to try Science 6? Spicy.
Sorry, Science what? You broke up a little bit.
Science Sword Tech number 6, the Stunner.
Stunner. Oh, no. There's lesson number 2 for today. I figured there was a reason they called it Stunner, but I didn't know it actually cast Stop. So, that's good to know.
Well, for next time, and luckily tonight really didn't cost you since you are champion.
Woo! Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Edge, I'll turn it back to you. How'd you like the Battle Royale as a whole? Did you enjoy the concept?
Yeah, I also enjoyed the 8 and 12 flags as well. I don't particularly enjoy going into Kefka's tower at low levels for the potential of wiping. And that kind of took that off the table altogether. So it just seemed like a pretty reasonably balanced seed to the point where, I wouldn't mind seeing Battle Royale flags be the casual preset. I think it would be pretty good for newer players to learn on this.
Would you have made any changes to the Battle Royale system?
No, I think this was pretty interesting, honestly. The nice thing about it is the cut line worked real well with the being able to run it async for a large pool of people. So if you're gonna run a tournament with large races and stuff, this feels like a pretty good way to go about it.
Somebody brought up the idea of doing a Mario Kart style scoring system rather than eliminations. So you'd have like a point-based system. And that way everybody can kind of keep playing every week without, they don't
Boo,
get
you
to
stole,
boot.
boo, you stole my thunder. That was
Oh,
gonna
sorry.
be later.
Oh,
Sorry,
but
to
I forget I said anything.
we have a lead change going into final Kefka. Zeno still having some difficulty in the final battle, but he's not out of it. But Flurry is moving on to final Kefka, about 15 seconds ahead of Zeno and looking in great shape to snipe third place.
So going off what Boo just mentioned, we won't be starting for probably about a month or so at least, for reasons. But our next Battle Royale setup will be a Mario Kart style. So everyone will be active throughout the entire thing. If you miss a week, you just get a 0 for that week. Points will be given out based on where you finish. Then at the end of, we'll probably say either 8 or 10 weeks, I'm not quite sure yet. We're going to talk to the rest of the admin staff. We'll go with that, and we'll see how that one plays out, and we'll compare the two, and we'll see how we go forward from there.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like fun. Gives everybody a chance to keep playing along, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping to see everyone back in there, and I think everyone be gunning. You'd best watch forward, sir.
Yeah, it won't be that hard. I think I got pretty lucky at times during this seed, or during this tournament. But them's the breaks. Sorry, suckers.
Ooh, the trash talking commences already. I love it.
It's about as worse as my trash talk gets.
While we still have both of you fine gents here, we'll start with Boo here. Any final thoughts on tonight's race?
Final thoughts? No, I guess just that this one went pretty well for me. I knew it was going to be pretty close because all the 4 people playing tonight are really good. I mean, you kind of have to be to make it this far through, 10 weeks. So expected a close race, got it. Happy I came out on top, and good game to everybody else.
Well said. Edge, same question to you. Any fun tonight?
Yeah, remove the auction house check.
Hey man, I completely agree with gentlemen. I want to thank you both for putting on a great show for us and joining us here, and we've got a heck of a finish coming up here between Zeno and Flurry, so let's sit back and enjoy what these guys do for the rest of the race here.
I am going to invite you both to stick in the booth for the end, because I want your opinion on what I'm going to bring up after the race.
Cool.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Ooh, special announcement. What's gonna happen? Well, we've got a miss on Kefka. Very rare miss from that Ice 3 on Zeno's side. Goner coming up. Should be fine with those HP totals. Flurry is trying to finish Kefka off before Goner goes off. Huge hit from Science Tech 7, and that's going to do it. Flurry's going to finish in 3rd place tonight, folks. Give him a big round of applause for a very strong finish to what was for him an unfortunate seed in just terms of finding a lot of dead checks at the wrong times.
Yeah, very nice performance and a really quick turnaround for Flurry once he did get what he needed. Very nice comeback and definitely deserving a 3rd place.
Yeah, and just things were looking really good for Zeno and Spicy, and it's been nothing but problems for him since then. Spicy Chicken, and especially the final battle, losing some of his best characters early on, and now Kefka's being a jerk, throwing all the trains in the world. What does he think he is, Sabin or something?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, there's that nasty counterattack from Kefka, that Ultima. Sabin able to hang on there. Come on, Zeno. We know you can do this. We want to see Kefka go down for our final racer here tonight. End is coming beyond chaos. It's going to be pretty tough to recover here. He's just going to straight up go for it, folks. Is this going to do it? Yes, that wing edge throw does it. Zeno is able to beat Kefka after an arduous battle. Well done. and is able to squeeze in under the 2-hour mark as well. Difficult ending for Zeno, but I have to love that he was able to pull that victory out of nowhere. And like we've seen for some players in previous races, Sabin gets it done in the clutch.
And we now have our 30-14 in the chat with us. GG, my friend. Well played. Congratulations on third.
Thanks. Honestly, third place is much higher than I was expected to get coming into here. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Two pretty big mistakes in that run, and it's a little annoying because like I try to make it a point after each week to mostly watch Jack's stream to see how he did a run, and I managed to learn the wrong thing and not remember the right thing. So the Dottaluma fight, that was bad, and I could hear in my head, burn that Thunder Shield, burn that Thunder Shield. You have it, just use it, mimic it. This fight is probably over in 45 seconds instead of 5 minutes.
Are you sure you weren't tuned into the broadcast, Flurry? Because I believe that did come up from both Fouls and myself at one point.
I 5 minutes in, I'm thinking, yeah, I have the Thunder Shield, I should probably use it, and I didn't. So that was the one thing. The other thing was not believing in the auction house. I think the last stream I watched was where I saw you get trolled by the auction house for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that. And yeah, between that and probably
If
not
it's any
checking.
consolation to you, Flurry, that happened to Edgeworth tonight. The auction house is not good, sir. And something else that might bring you consolation here, two of our runners were starting the final battle right around when you entered Kefka's tower, and you were considerably behind Zeno as well. Even though things didn't necessarily go well for you in the mid-game here, you had by far the fastest Kefka tower in final battle of all of our racers here tonight.
Yeah, I probably a offshoot of doing too many checks and being probably a lot stronger than I thought, and not checking Phantom Train when I should have. There was 2 espers off of that check, and if I checked that early on, which I imagine a lot of other runners do, it's probably about 4 checks off my back end. I may or may not had to scramble to look to see what the mantra input was when I got it wrong the first time. Mid Kefka fight, but going in, that was going to be my source of healing, and everyone else was just
That's
so
not a
overpowered.
move that we see bust out too often, so that was pretty neat. As we were saying throughout the broadcast, Sabin's the character that we see the most shenanigans with in these races, so that was another fun way to use him there for sure.
I almost dropped him. I almost dropped him either to keep Gogo or to bring Shadow on, and I didn't think it was worth the investment. So yeah, he was the healer for that fight, so that helped.
And we do have Zenobia in chat with us as well. GG, my friend. Well played.
Hello, that was the scariest Kefka encounter I've ever seen, and I hate regen. It's terrible.
Yeah, Zeno, you seem to be cruising along pretty good there. Then you ran into Spicy Chicken with solo Sabin, and that was a slog. And then from there, things just got worse and worse for you throughout that final battle. But it was really good to see you be able to eke out the win there under some really dire circumstances at the end there. What's going through your mind throughout that final Kefka fight where just nothing was going right for you? You lost one of your best characters right away, and you were just struggling to keep up there.
Well, I was really hoping I had picked up a remedy somewhere along the way. Nope, that didn't happen. I was hoping I would have enough X potions and elixirs to last till the end. That didn't happen either. Just every time something went wrong, the one like ray of sunshine was Cyan blocking 2 Meteos in a row. It's probably the only reason I finished.
Oh yeah, him blocking those Meteos and then calmness block as well. That was some pretty clutch moments at the end there for sure.
Living through the Ultima as well. So I didn't ask you, Flurry, how'd you enjoy the Battle Royale system? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was great. Had a good time with it. Feel like the times eventually started to get better just ahead of the curve. And then Jack giving us a Christmas present in week 6 to actually make this tournament and not destroy us all. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate the work you guys put into it and looking forward to seeing what's next.
Well, thank you for the backhanded compliment, Flurry. I'll take that, I suppose. But actually, now that I have you on voice chat, I do have one very simple question for you: Theo or Marc Andre?
Theo all the way. I still have the playoff game tonight recorded, so here's hoping they beat Dallas today. And yeah, that's immediately what I'm going to be doing after this is watching more playoff hockey. All right.
Perfect. Well, I gotta tell you, my best internet buddy / best buddy Bryself is also a Flames fan, so I've been rooting for them too. So here's hoping they can get those pesky Stars out of the way, and here's hoping especially Lucic can keep playing like he played like 10 years ago, because he's been real good for you guys.
Fingers crossed.
All right, I'm going to ask Zenobian the same question. How'd you enjoy the Battle Royale, and did you have fun at least?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. My only sad part was my good friend got knocked out in like round 2 and didn't get to participate for most of it. So I felt bad about that. Hopefully, going forward, then we'll have ways that more people can participate for longer times. But aside from that, the flags were good. Every week was a little bit tense. Like, if you mess up, if you lose like 10 minutes, you might be out because of that mistake. So the tension was good, but sometimes a little bit too tense and scary. Like if you wipe to Kefka one week and you're like, oh no, it's over. It's a disaster. Overall, loads of fun though.
So we're going to actually touch on that right now. That's going to be the first of the 2 announcements tonight. I kind of mentioned it a few minutes ago. Our next Battle Royale won't be for a month or so. We're going to give it a little bit of time, cool off from this one. It's going to be a kind of what we call Mario Kart style. So you won't be eliminated. You'll gain points each week. If you miss a week, you just get a 0. So everyone can play every week if they choose to. No stress as far as that goes. And after X amount of weeks, we will have another championship matchup with the top X numbers of racers.
I think I like that format a lot better. And not just because I got burned one week here, but I think the more people that are involved in this for as long as possible, the more fun it's going to be, plain and simple. And yeah, even as Zeno just alluded to, his buddy Indu, he was someone that I was expecting to last a lot longer in this, but the way we had it with this particular format, if you have a bad week, that's it. So, I think Indu is someone that you might want to watch out for when we get the expanded format going on in a month's time.
So that leads me into a good segue into why we are waiting a month. The reason we are waiting a month, like I said, to calm down from this one. But something's going to happen after tonight's race. Once we go dark, version 8.0 will be released in its alpha stage with a bunch of changes Emma has been working on through the last couple weeks. So 8.0 will be announced, released in its alpha stage, and we have quite a few changes to go over. So, Jack, I will let you discuss a couple of them while I pull up my sheet.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we got an update coming to the randomizer. There's going to be a lot more options and a lot more fun here. So, the first thing, and honestly, one of the nicer things, the website itself is going to have a lot more tabs and options there. It's going to be a little easier to navigate, and the randomizer is just going to be even more customizable going forward. The spoiler log, which we typically don't use in these races, is going to match the way that the website looks. So that's going to be a little easier to sift through and get information if you're just playing casually, or if we decide to include those in any future Routers Relish races. And something that a few people have been hoping to see, there might be a couple of custom graphics options coming up with this update, and changing character names and the like. So that might be fun. And something that might mix things up a bit, even though the character is still the character and unlocks what they unlocks, at least in gated, you might see some different commands on certain characters. You might see, for example, a Celes with sword tech, or you might be able to suplex a train with Mog. Who knows?
One very interesting one that could happen is you were kind of ragging on Rome for not having natural magic. It's possible she will from now on because that will be shifting around.
Yep, and I think that's a good change. It'll shift the balance of power in terms of characters and try to balance them out potentially a little bit more because, well, at this point, at least in the meta, we know who the best characters are, but with a little bit more randomness involved, that is going to change quite a bit.
So I want to reiterate, this is an alpha. There may be bugs. Please play some flags. Try to push the rando. And if you do have bugs, let us know so we can fix them.
We have very large fly swaps. Just let us know and we'll you.
And with all that being said, I do want to mention we do have Amatek in chat with us. He has put so much work into this over the last few weeks. He's held off on this to let the Battle Royale go on. Thank you, Emma, for all you do. We appreciate you. I know Ben Show has been poking around and helping as well, so thank you to Ben Show as well. But Atma has done a phenomenal job, and we really appreciate it.
Atma is our god. So, yeah, make sure that you are following that man, not just on Twitch, but on everything. All the social media platforms he has. That's probably the best way to get the hottest news about upcoming versions of the randomizer.
So with that, I want to give a couple more shout-outs. Thank you to our 4 runners today, both the runners, Noah Edgeworth and Flurry S14. My co-commentator, Jackamus Wedge, our tracker behind the scene, Franklin, and our restreamer today was Classy Badger. Jack, send us on out, and we will see you guys next week for our Saturday weekly. Play some flags, have some fun, and let us know how you guys like the new changes.
Let's go, Bruins!
Have a good night, guys. We'll see you in a week.